The story of Fortnite Season 3 has already begun, and from the return of the cubes to Dr. Slone going rogue, it's time for us to unpack the secrets of Fortnite's jungle season. Our story begins outside an overgrown temple, where we follow a series of ancient markings that lead to an item of unstoppable power. This item is called the Chalice of Cube-tastrophe, and according to in-game dialogue, it is a very powerful item made by the cubes, and it's capable of leveling out the entire island. This would of course mean that all of the different biomes across the island would sit at the same level, and ultimately it would all be more stable, but the cubes are meant to totally destroy us, so why would they create a device that could save our reality? Well, what if the cubes created this chalice with a totally different intention that would leave us in disaster? From previous seasons, we know that the cubes can cause land to rise up like it did in Season 6 with the floating island, so what if instead of just raising these biomes, the chalice will tear them out of the ground entirely and destroy the island forever? This idea is backed up by a secret transmission coming from Optimus Prime.
If you are hearing this message, the time has come to make your escape. This reality is doomed to collapse.
Optimus Prime tells us that the island is collapsing and that we should escape this reality as soon as we possibly can. Now this sounds pretty awful, but he also says there is still some hope, and the questlines tell us that if no one uses this dangerous artifact, we should be fine if it stays hidden. Well yeah, that's not happening. In this week's quest, it is revealed that Oro and Aurelia have been messing around with the artifact. These two are both very interesting characters, and they were bonded for eternity by the desire for golden treasures and special items. Aurelia possesses the Chalice of Cube-tastrophe, intertwining her spirit with it and altering it to become more powerful. After passing through the temple, we take this artifact and we are then possessed by Aurelia. This continues until we return the artifact to Aura, who seems to be leading this first week of storyline quests, but it's not only her. After retrieving and returning this powerful item of the cubes, we venture off into the jungle to find an audio log from Dr. Slone. Season 3's trailer revealed that she is still alive, and I've been excited about this for ages, which explains why I've kinda made about 4 videos predicting this in the last month. And if you don't want to miss all of that theory content, I'd suggest you subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying the video so far, and let's get back to it. Slone's return to the storyline has been amazing, but there's still a lot of questions to be answered, like how did she get to the island, and is she still with the Imagined Order? In Fortnite's Fracture event, the island exploded, and the 0 Point reforged a new island, bringing in older locations and characters as well. One of those characters was Dr. Slone, and the tank that she's been living in can actually be spotted floating toward the island, and this was all seen within the Fracture cinematic. The last time we saw Slone was when she was crushed by a mech arm in the collision event, but now she's back on the island, and you can find her just outside a temple in the jungle biome. If you talk to her NPC whilst wearing Gunnar, she says, "I told you, I'm done," which is very interesting because he is a member of the Imagined Order. Many people have first thought that GENO was the Shapeless Man and he was teaming up with Slone to rebuild the Imagined Order, but it seems like that's not the case. Slone has gone off on her own path and may even begin to betray GENO throughout the rest of the chapter, and I mean, I respect it. I don't like GENO. He ditched his daughters and she seems to be going off on her own exploration through this jungle. Like, as long as it keeps giving us good lore, I'm happy. Now, Slone has a lot of involvement in this season, but she hasn't been doing this all on her own, and in this week's secret storyline quest, Slone tells us that someone rescued her from the jungle. Now, she doesn't tell us who it is, and initially I thought it was quite possibly Jones, and I hoped he would come back to the story somewhat soon, but it turns out that was not correct. Slone's jungle savior was actually confirmed to be Relic from this season's Battle Pass. Relic is an intrepid hunter seeking to discover the island's secrets, and I think he needs to get a better barber while he's at it, because they really did this guy dirty with his hairline. Like, that's really bad. Other than whatever's going on up there, Relic's design seems to be very much lava-based, and his contrail is literally chunks of volcanic rock. It is highly possible that the volcano which was leaked and teased for last season is actually coming out next season, to finish off Chapter 4 in a super exciting way. With the whole chalice theory that we mentioned earlier of plates of land being ripped out of the ground, it would cause a lot of seismic disturbance, and that increases the chance of a volcano happening, and again, this could totally cause the end of the chapter. If you didn't know, this chapter is only meant to be 4 seasons long, and I'm quite convinced that Relic has a lot to do with all this story and the timing and the events that are taking place, partially because in this loading screen, he seems to be looking over our world whilst being surrounded by blue energy, and something very similar can be seen towards the start of the Battle Pass. pass. I'm of course talking about the starter skin named Era, who seems to have the ability to travel across different time periods. In her outfit's built-in emote, we can see her using the blue energy to do this, and I'm assuming it's all linking back to the 0 point. Now speaking of the 0 point, it is likely to be hiding amongst Chapter 4's jungle biome, and in this trailer, Slone was looking at this secret 0 point temple, and she may even be using it later. In the trailer, we see that this temple can bring in people from different realities using the 0 point energy like it did with Optimus Prime, and maybe Slone will bring someone back to the island who can assist her plan. Whoever that is or whatever those plans are, I'm not entirely sure, but I'm most definitely excited, and I'm sure you are too. All of the storyline we've got for this season so far has been really good and very interesting to follow. The whole new quest system with talking to different characters and finding the audio logs is really amazing. The plot points are interesting, they're engaging, and the execution is great. So to stay up to date with Fortnite's complex storyline, which hopefully will get even better, subscribe to the channel with noties turned on, and I'll see you in the overgrown temples of Fortnite Wild.